Yes, ma'am. And I got
Here we go. 9 a.m. It is. Hola, buenos dias. It is 9 a.m. on Thursday, Thursday, the 14th of August, and I am calling to order the meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee of West County Wastewater. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Dr. King Meredith,
present.
Chair Suddet,
I am present.
we have a quorum.
I surely hope I am present. Thank you so much. Members of the public may comment during this time, up to 3 minutes per speaker. Directors may ask brief clarifying questions, but may not engage in discussion regarding public comment made during this time. Now is the time for public comment for items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, have we received any public comments or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on non-agenda items, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Gracias. At this time, I will ask Deputy General Manager Justin Lavelle to please lead us through the remainder of the agenda, sir. To you.
Item 1 on the agenda is to accept the meeting minutes of June 17th, 2025. Is this a, I'm sorry, we're attacking this. We need to go back. It was
July.
July.
July 10th.
July 10th. Sorry, there's a typo. July 10th, 2025, Finance Administration Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 1, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion from the committee? If not, may I please have a motion to accept the minutes?
Yes, Madam Chair, yes, I would like to first accept the minutes of July the 10th, 2025 of the Finance and Administrative Committee meeting.
Thank you very much. I concur. So it is what it is.
Okay. Item 2 on the agenda is to review and discuss a draft resolution amending the delegated authority of the general manager related to software purchases and to recommend the proposed resolution be forwarded to the full board of directors for adoption if the committee deems it appropriate. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay. So with this item, so the general manager, just to context, there's a general manager authority resolution that outlines just a little bit more specific authorization of the general manager that includes kind of the contract amount, the employment, what budgets and consulting, anything related to procurement, the dollar thresholds that the general manager has authorization to enter into contracts, as well as related to emergencies and real property and investment. So there's a handful of items that just specify what the general manager's, what the board has delegated the general manager authority to do. So what we are proposing is to add a section in this resolution to specify the general manager's authority regarding software purchases. So how this came up is we've, over the last several years, we've been investing in different software systems and going through a very robust process to find and select the correct, the software system that works best for us. And many of these software systems, it takes several years to fully implement. And some of them, their annual licensing fee is above $50,000. And so many of the software purchases, we do come to the board for an initial term, usually 3 years. It does make, because of the nature of how long it takes to implement or look at software, many of the software, it's because we invested so much into the implementation of these systems. We want to make sure, we're, as staff, it doesn't make sense necessarily for us to every 5 years or every 3 years go out and do like a solicitation for another software system when the existing system we have is working well. And so we have a handful of products that cost more than $50,000 a year. So things like our financial ERP systems, so that's enterprise resource planning. That is, well, currently, but when we move, we're looking at moving to the cloud. That was that we went to the board earlier this last fiscal year to get authorization for that particular vendor. We've have our asset management software system, construction management software system, that ADP, which is for payroll. Those are all more than $50,000 a year. They've all gone to the board for the initial contract term. And so just to kind of facilitate just the authorization to continue paying for those license fees so we can continue using the software systems. And what has happened over the last several years, just kind of on how the software companies have been changing. It used to be, we're moving to a lot of our systems to cloud-based systems, and so they're subscription-based, and we pay for a certain number of licenses to access these systems. But the nice part about it is the updates and any patches happen automatically. That's part of the software, the subscription service, versus the old way of doing it was we would host it internally on our servers, and any updates we would have to. It was up to us as an agency to update, or we had to pay extra fees if we wanted to update a software. So we're currently on all software purchases. We spend a little over $600,000 a year between all our products, Office 365 and the Laserfish, our agenda management software. Many of them are under the general manager authority, so we're paying less than $50,000 per each vendor. But when we just look at it on the aggregate, we want to it adds up to several $100,000, and this is as a direction we're moving to be able to have, these software systems are our data repository. As the board has made clear on the strategic plan, we want to make more data-based decisions. These software systems are helping us manage the information that we have and to be able to report on it. So with that, we're recommending to add this section within the general manager authority. We upped the aggregate amount not to exceed $1 million per year. It wouldn't be one vendor would be $1 million, but these would be because these purchases. These are things that we can be included in the quarterly report of items that the general manager entered under the general manager's authority, kind of with the contracts. We could add these so you can, as a board, can see the contract amount or what the license fees have been. So with that, just happy to answer any questions you have specifically about this recommended amendment.
Thank you very much. Lots of information.
Yes, it is.
And Director King Meredith.
Yes. Thank you, Deputy General Manager Justin. By just looking at and listening to, and listening to your presentation for this amendment to this policy, for me, knowing how things changed quickly as when it comes to looking at updating and amending, different, software at this time. Look like every time you turn around, there's something new within 6 months. And to have an increase for our general manager or whomever that will be making these decisions at that time, the designated D, that it is more than the right way to go. I feel the right way to go. It's just times to have to stop and come back, and just have enough monies in place and to do what we have to do with the change of and the cost of things rising, and you really don't know the cost, and we can't need any software, and be held up, trying to move forward. So with having, I feel having this exceeded amount, not to exceed the amount of 1 million per fiscal year, to have that flexibility of doing what needs to be done for the agency, that I think that I'm in concur with it. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Jessica.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I do have a few questions, of course. I think that it just reads, I mean, the part in red, oh, good, it's on the screen.
Oh, it's on the screen, okay.
It reads a little confusing because it looks like that the aggregate amount not to exceed $1 million is solely concerned with the previously competitive procured proprietary software from an original provider, when the original provider is the only source of software. But when I hear you speaking, I thought that it was $1 million for all of the software. So it seems, it's like a dangling participle for me. It might just be me. But it seems like that $1 million per fiscal year is only referring to that. So I just need you to, maybe somebody can hear me understand how it's reading, because the way it's reading, that's the way I see it, that you're only talking to the single source. You're not talking to the all software aggregate. And maybe that's what I need to see. Maybe we need to say the aggregate amount of all software.
Right, we could just create it as a new sentence and just say all such will not
That's
exceed.
why you're here. I knew you would have the answer for me, because that's what I was hoping.
Because what you're saying, that is the intent.
goal
It's
is-
not one software, it
Right.
is all of our software systems collectively, looking at them. And some, just to let you know on how some software vendors work, we have to go through a third party
Yes.
to buy that software. Some of them we buy directly with that company. So, but we want to make sure it's aggregate between all of our different vendors.
Yes.
For these products,
That was what, when I was reading this 2 days ago, I figured that's what your intent was. So that would be great if you can add that sentence. The other thing that I know it's, and General Counsel, maybe you can help me here. I know it's usually not part of our resolutions, but as I was reading it, and then as I was listening to you, Deputy General Manager, I know how much software costs. And I know that the district knows, not all the public knows. So what you just said is really, really important. It's our data repository, and the board was very explicit in its strategic plan to make more database decisions on these software aids in that. Is there a way that we can, when we're doing these type of resolutions, tie it to the strategic plan with just one sentence towards the bottom that says, somewhere, after, because you have conflict waivers and related agreements, and then it's right before this one, in that paragraph that says the board recognizes that there will be management areas. Maybe there, we can tie it back to the strategic plan?
What about in the recitals at the start? So
That-
we
that
start
would work
in the
too.
recitals, we have those first, what is
That
this,
would
4
work.
paragraphs?
Yes, that would work
That's
too.
where we're working, we're giving all the background for what this change is.
Yeah,
So we
right
could add something there.
Right before you say the board therefore resolves,
Right.
anywhere in there, that would work for me. I would just like to see on this one and then on any other one that we're doing, especially when we're spending money, that we tie it to the strategic plan right up. And I like that. Thank you, General Counsel. I like having it right up front so people know we're not making arbitrary decisions, that we've really thought this out and that it ties to our work and we're not just, oh, sure, let the general manager do whatever he wants to do, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I would point that out to the board. And, I mean, should we advance this, let me not get ahead of myself, should we advance this to the full board? Please make sure you say this sentence right here, about that is the data repository, and that we requested database decisions, and this is an and I know you said this will aid, I just want to say, I think you should say this is an integral, critical part of making database decisions. Because we don't have the software. I don't know if you sit in the back with crayons or, trying to write it, but you need the software,
We
right?
need software, and we need our staff to have access to it, and occasionally we decide, oh, these additional staff members need access, and there's an additional cost on that, and so
Yeah.
to facilitate, right, you understand the point is that this is facilitating the access to the software to staff who need it, without having to come back to the board every time we needed to add 2 or 3 licenses.
Especially when it's timely that you need it. So I would, you started to talk about moving to cloud-based systems, and now we pay subscriptions with a certain number of seats or user licenses, rather than the district managing that process in-house. So maybe, I wouldn't take too long, but to really say what you just said in context of that. So the part about facilitating staff access is really related to the change in the way software companies do business. And that we pay we used to call them seat licenses, but we pay per user.
Per user, right?
And typically, when we buy the software, it includes a base number of users, and any over that, we have to pay per user. So explaining that, not just to the board, but to the public, I think is critical. Yeah, thank you for the word. Is critical. Yes, the license fees, I also think that, I know the license fees exceed, 50 grand, especially on enterprise software. You might want to explain that that's paid up front. These like, you
A
pay.
year, essentially,
You
we
pay a
paid
year.
for the year and before the year
Upfront,
X.
right. And so you may want to say that it's not a monthly fee, is not, oh, you get to pay after you, no, you pay up front. And so if we decide, oh, we don't want that software anymore, he's already paid for.
And there's a timing of termination clause. We have to do it, so many of the software systems, we have to do it within a certain number of days, usually 90 days before it
Prior to
expires. We
expiration.
have to give them written notice, yes, yeah.
Yes, or it's automatically renewed.
Correct.
And so I think saying that as well. And I just say that because, I mean, I do this, but not everybody, I was amazed at how many people don't know that part. And so I think it's just good to get it out into the public sphere. Let's see, auto renew. And that's something, and I don't think it has to be in here unless general counsel says so. I don't think you have to say that, but I do think it's good, to print it, but I do think it's good to say that what we're managing with the auto renewals, that you guys are putting, you have tickler systems or whatever to say, we're going to review our software that we're using. We're going to review it, 6 months out, because you have to give that notice, 60 to 90 days. And so you're looking at it, you're taking an intentional look at what we're using to say, yes, we renew, or no, we don't, so that it's not auto-renewed without somebody on the background saying, yes, we need this software, or we need to change it.
And if we do need to change, sometimes it's a multi-year process to
Yes.
get to the point of what we need, how we need to do, and so it does take a while. So sometimes we decide we need to move to a different software system, but it's 2 to 3 years before we're even ready to move on to the next one.
Yes, and I think that that's important to say. It doesn't have to go in here, but to say it. And the last thing I want you to know is that a lot of times the software, when there is a new software system, an upgraded software system, there's some training component. Does this cover this?
Yeah, I believe the way that it's written, that it could cover those types of, those types of expenses, because it is going paid to the vendor who's providing the software service. So yeah, I think that that is covered as part of this.
just
Because
wanted
we
to-
do, and then that is one of our, one of the things that we have been making sure we have an effort that we have the training resources for staff as well.
Right.
That's actually been a big push to make sure everybody has the necessary training to use the systems.
Because that is also in the strategic plan.
Correct.
We're talking about the strategic plan, right? Is making sure that the training is there. General Counsel, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, the language specifically calls out related services as well, so it captures things like training.
Can we say training and related services? Or is that too much? Software training, any related services? Because to
I
me,
mean,
when
this
I
is a
read,
very heavy paragraph, so
It very much is.
I'm inclined to suggest that
We leave it?
keeping it broad,
Okay.
would include really anything
Yeah.
that we might need that's kind of described and aligns with this.
Okay.
Because as you noted in sort of that last, aggregate amount, it's a heavy, heavy paragraph.
really is, and I just want to make sure it's there because when I read related services, the first thing that popped in my mind was implementation. It wasn't, and that's why I asked a question about training, because I automatically think, oh, okay, so we get the software, we get the implementation, we get the troubleshooting, the warranties, all of those things that's related to the software itself, except, that's why, when they didn't call out training, that's why I say that. But
Maybe
if you
for the
think it
staff
covers it, I'm
report.
good.
Yeah, we
Staff
could,
report, so it can be raised specifically?
Pardon me?
Maybe for the staff report, so it can be raised
Yes.
specifically?
yeah, so we can
Yes.
add that detail into the
Thank
staff
you.
report.
And I think the staff report might also be where you talk about the con to not doing this, right? In your staff report, because if we don't do it, you want to tell the public what happens. Well, if we don't give the general manager this kind of authority, right? Then you are scrambling to make a board meeting or having to give board permission, and that could delay projects or access or something like that. So this is what I would, and I don't mean that in a very like negative way or like you're pushing us to do it, but it's a very real thing, right? And it's a very real thing that it takes multiple years to determine what do we need, identify that. So identify the need, identify what can fill that need, and then to actually get the contract and get it implemented. So it's not as simple as, like the public might go to Best Buy and pick up a computer and then it's there. So I think this is a good place in the staff report.
Yeah.
Thank you for the recommendation, and I think, let me see. Also, in the staff report, did I miss it? But I think it's saying something about, you said that we spend approximately 600,000 a year in software purchases. I would just put a parenthetical that says, what do you say earlier about the finance ERP, the ADP, the agenda planning software, et cetera, something like that, so people know what you spend software on. Well, you do also need software at the plants, right?
We have dozens of softwares when we start listing them out.
I don't want you to list them. I just
anyway,
want you to give
just so you
them a
get an
general
example.
idea, like,
Right, so we have our SCADA, like the big ones. are like
SCADA
our
is what I'm talking
our
about.
SCADA system, which includes hardware components.
yes,
We have,
just say finance software. You
we
don't
have our
have to say.
financial software, we have such as our maintenance management software.
That's what I'm talking
You
about.
know,
That's,
we-
just say that,
Yeah,
and then just say
so
except.
those are our big ones, and construction management software, those incorporate like the larger ones that are very more intensive versus, Office 365.
Right.
Kind of off the shelf versus, the off the shelf software versus
Right.
software that needs some customization and setup.
I think that would be good in the staff report, only because most people have no idea about why it costs $600,000. It's a lot of money for some software. They don't understand that we're using, especially SCADA software, is very expensive.
Yeah.
And then our finance software, these are ones we have to have.
Right.
I don't think you have to list them all. I think just hit a couple, for example, kind of thing in a parenthetical.
Okay.
And I think that was all. Director King Meredith, did you have anything else? But I said that was all, like, I didn't say anything at all. Like I said, 2 seconds worth of things. But, you're good? Okay, you wanna move it to the full board, or it's, yeah.
Okay, Madam Chair, and I hope I get this right. So the recommendation is to bring this to the full board. Okay, wait a minute, I had it right.
With the revisions we discussed.
With the revisions that has been discussed in the Financial and Administrative Committee at this time.
Yes. So, yes. So we will recommend this, I concur. So, for the record, we're recommending the proposed resolution be forwarded to the full Board of Directors for adoption, including the clarifications and revisions to the actual resolution and the staff report.
Of 20.
Good?
307.
We good on that one?
Yes.
Okay, sir, back to you.
Okay. Item 3 on the agenda is to review and discuss the results of the electric vehicle charging pilot program and proposed electric vehicle charging policy, and to recommend the policy be forwarded to the full Board of Directors for adoption if the committee deems it appropriate. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
No, we have not. I'm sorry. We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 3, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
All right, we'll have, just give an introduction to this item. So I have Sarah Williamson, our Administrative Services Manager. We'll just go over kind of the high-level statistics. So the chargers were turned on at the end of February. So when we came to the F&A committee about 6 months ago to authorize the pilot, we went to the board as well. So the pilot period is really from March to August, but just because of the break, we wanted to just give it an update. The pilot is actually through the end of August. So we just wanted to give you to date kind of where we're at and what we've been observing about the electric vehicle chargers that are at our Hilltop site. So Sarah, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see. Let me figure out how to work the machinery here. There we go. Okay, so just as a quick wrap up of what we were doing here with the pilot, this matter came to the committee in January and then to the full board in February when we decided we wanted some more information about usage and community behavior around the 2 ChargePoint public chargers we have outside. So we started our review March 1st, although I do have some data from the end of February, and all the way to August 7th. So we have a partial information for August, which is going to complicate some of our conclusions, as you'll see in a minute. We decided as part of the policy that we would have hours of usage available daily for charging 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. With a limit of 4 hours per charging session per vehicle, and that we would charge the full fee that we paid to PG&E for the electricity, 41 cents per kilowatt hour. So just to give you some quick contextualization for this information, this is from charging session data that we received from the machines. It's kind of a marriage of the session information, so the power draw, how long the user was there, what they paid, and also some of their account information. So we do have information about individual users who are using our machines. So as you can see, this is going to be a fairly consistent trend with the data, is that we see a rise in users over the 6-month observation period. Because we only have partial data for August, we can only kind of make a guess about what the full August numbers would be. So we see a trend of number of unique users going up as people began realizing that we were available. And if you actually look at the raw data, you can see that the first users of the equipment were employees, and then people with electric cars from outside of the area who are frequent flyers and using their phone to find chargers in the area. Then as we see further into April and May, we see more people in the community in the San Pablo, Richmond area starting to use the machines as the neighbors got used to using the equipment. So charging sessions by month are the same trend. We see more charging sessions, and let me go back real quick. So unique users, let me just make sure that you're aware of what this means. Unique users means the number of unique vehicles or users who are coming. So if I'm an employee with an electric car, it's only gonna count me once, even if I've charged my car 4 times here. So that's the number of unique people. Next slide is number of charging sessions by month. So this is going to be all charging sessions, even with our repeat offenders who are charging here frequently. So you can see there's more charging sessions per month. And let me actually switch back to this real quick. So if you look at the data with August, and this is what complicates our picture of the community using this, if you extrapolate the unique users, we are set to have more unique users in August than July. But if you go to the charging sessions, we're actually set to have fewer charging sessions. So it's kind of a cloudy picture of whether there's going to be more folks coming or if we've kind of hit an equilibrium of usage for folks who are in the neighborhood. Average session length by month is fairly consistent except for April. You can see that average, we are not anywhere close to the 4-hour charging limit. So it seems like people are using it to fill up and going along their way, and there's not a whole lot of appetite for longer than a couple hours. Energy dispensed, you can see we hit a high point in July. I'm not sure if we're going to make that up and hit July's high point in August. That is yet to be seen. Greenhouse gas savings by month is going to be a direct reflection of the energy that we've dispensed from the machines. So you can see the trend line there is the same. Fees collected by month, you can see, follows the same trend line. And finally, and I thought this was the coolest part, we get to see who's charging. So you can see most of our charging sessions are initiated by folks whose account is registered in zip codes in Richmond and San Pablo, so our neighbors. But we also have hotspots from around the Bay, from employees and other people who are coming in to use the machines. Is there any questions I can answer?
Thank you. Appreciate the update. Director King Meredith.
Thank you for the update. I'm just so excited that, when we talked about this back in February, and this actually have you to come back and with this data and to show that the usage and the whole bit, that it's really working and people are really using it. I'm just curious for July, and this is just my, I'm just thinking for July, would the summer activity have anything to do with the rise in July? And, just assumption, would that have to do with that, with people being out and moving around and, and going places and saying, oh, this charge is somewhere else is full and we can go on to this? Would that have something more or less to do with the, with the increase?
That's
in
possible.
The summer, in the
Yeah,
summer
and
months?
that's possible. We can't confirm yes or no based on just the data that we have. But yeah, it's possible that there's some seasonal patterns here that we're looking at, and we're, well, the more, the longer this goes on, the more data we'll have and the more understanding we'll have of like what's typical versus atypical.
Okay. Okay, with that, thank you for the update. I don't know what else to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Director King Meredith. So a couple things. So during the pilot, thank you, again, because this is good information to use to make decisions going forward. I do have a question on between the unique users and the overall users. do we have a breakdown of employee versus community? And further than that, a breakdown of the West County users, those in West County. I saw the hot map, and that's good. I'm trying to drill into it to see, so that we can, what's the word? I don't want to say justify, but we can confirm the need for ongoing services, is that it's, and we can confirm that to our West County public. The majority of these is West County, but the actual data, going back to data from the original, do we have that data to say we have 20% employees, 80%, and of this 80% of users, X number percent is from the West County community? Can we, or if you don't have it, can we get it?
So to distinguish employee use from the general public, if they have an employee code that they use to access the charger in the rear, we can pull apart that and distinguish between employee versus public use. Now, if they go and use the public charger with their public account and they don't have that code, they're just going to be treated like a member of the public.
That I get.
Right?
I get
Okay.
that one.
So that's a little wrinkle there, but we could. And then in terms of if West County customers are using it, we only have the zip code information for the account.
Yeah.
So we can determine by zip code how many people in the San Pablo, Richmond, Pinole area are using it. But, we could maybe make some, analysis based on that. But it wouldn't be a direct, how many of these folks are actual customers.
No, I think that's to corroborate the need. I think that, yeah, I would like to see that. I'd like to see just, a graph, chart, whatever you have, where we can see the numbers.
Okay.
The numbers, because if an employee is using the public one, they're just residential.
I can add on to that. So we invited the employees that we know of that have electric vehicles to connect their account with ours, so we can know that they're an employee. Only 2 of the 6 employees did that. So, but which doesn't mean the other employees did not use the chargers. We just cannot connect it and say, oh, that is an employee. Because we would be able to see any session if it's up front or if it's in the back. And the reason we could do that is because if we offered this for free, if there was a tax implication, we would be able to provide, well, this is the dollar value that the employee received.
Yeah.
Or if, a discount, or if it was for free. So it's set up in the system to allow us to do that. But so we only know for sure of 2 employees who have connected their account with ours, so they can be shown as an employee. But anecdotally, I have seen another employee or 2 use the public-facing charger, but we can't pull that data out because they didn't register as an employee. Yeah.
I'm okay with that one.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with your explanation of, I can give you the numbers from the one where they have to put their code in, and I can give you the numbers from the public-facing ones. In that one, I don't think I'm more concerned about the employee breakdown than I am about who's using it. Is it 94803, 94806, like that. I think that's what I'm asking for on the public-facing one. Can we get that breakdown
So do you
we
want
can see?
like zip code by month by charging session?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so each one of your charts, so that we can see that, and then we can tell the public, you guys are using this. You see a need in it,
And
right?
do you want the power draw and the greenhouse gas savings for customers?
That would be great too. So we can say, contest, North Richmond is beating San Pablo. I don't know. I just like to see more, as much data as possible to give forward so that we can, because now we have to approve moving out of the pilot mode into implementation mode, and the more data that we have that we can provide, the public and the board itself, I think it works. And again, I'm going to say, tie this back to the strategic plan. So somewhere in the policy, the same thing, can we tie this back to the strategic plan in a couple of places, right? The reduction of greenhouse gases, the move towards zero emission vehicles because the electric vehicles are like that. Our energy savings, tie each one of those back. Can we do that, General Counsel? Okay. And then mention it in your staff report. So just mention it when you talk to the board, say this directly ties back to strategic plan, whatever, the number, a goal 6 number, subsection, whatever. I think that's what I'm looking for. Hold on, I'm making myself a note. And I think let me understand something. On the slide that said about the fees, because the fees collected by month. This is our standard fee. Is this gonna change after the pilot, or what's the?
This is the 41 cent
Yeah.
per kilowatt hour.
It's what we pay PG&E, so like, we will, periodically need to go and look at if the board wants to, as the pilot, we're gonna charge our actual energy cost per kilowatt hour. So periodically, as PG&E changes their rates, seems like every couple months, or, or if we get on a different rate plan, we would adjust those.
Okay,
Adjust those rates. But we've kept it static for right now, but I think once we get out of the pilot, it would be periodically, every quarter, we're going to be reviewing what our PG&E rates are and making any adjustments to cover the actual cost.
I think that needs to be said on this slide.
Okay.
When you're on this slide, part of your presentation is to say, currently, we pay PG&E, X amount, 41 cents, X amounts per kilowatt hour. We were willing to do that during the pilot phase. However, to what Justin just said, we will be periodically reviewing rates to make adjustments as required.
Yeah, and would it be helpful to discuss, because the literal kilowatt hour rate from PG&E is 12 cents, but there's the overhead, so should we explain that? Okay.
Yeah, the fees.
We have the MCE,
tell 'em
the
fees.
transmission cost,
all the
plus the
overhead.
generation cost. I mean, so those aggregate.
I think that breakdown would be great.
Okay.
And it's not just for the board, it's for the public to see. So if the public looks it up and say, wait, PG&E only charging 12 cents. And you can say, it's 12 cents for this, it's 8 cents for, this tax, is like that.
And it's the rate structure, because everybody, if they look at their personal home, depending on what rate structure they're on versus a business, there are dozens of rates that PG&E charges based on the building type and the usage. And so, yes, it adds a lot of complexity onto it. But our current rate structure, that's what we pay.
And there's no
Here.
volume discount if you pay 6 figures for your treatment plant for energy consumption either.
Well, and then, we don't want to add the complexity of our solar and any net metering, those.
Nah, you don't want to add
That just, we don't need to get into those level details. Just keep it what our bill says is easier.
Yeah, I think that would be super helpful to break down those fees and to add the part that you're periodically reviewing the rates and making adjustments as required. Because the one thing I don't want is for us to go into the hole. We're just making ourselves whole. We're not making a profit, but we're making ourselves whole to provide this service to the public.
Right.
And just emphasize, this is a service to the public, right? That's my recommendation. I don't mean to give you that kind of direction, but this is my recommendation. And then to the public. Because we just say that, we'll be making periodic adjustments, I think that because what's the next step? What's our next step? Because the pilot's going to end in August, so you have to be ready to answer that question to the board and to the public. So what's our next step? I don't see it here. I know that this is just a discussion of what has happened, but okay, now what?
Our next step would be the board adopt a policy. So we have the draft policy. I'm attached to this report. And we would continue monitoring whether it's, the frequency of how, much the board would like an update, whether it's annually, twice a year on vehicle usage. It could be part of some sort of reporting related to the strategic plan. I mean, there's different areas how we could report it, but it's something that we could do, similar report. It could be just a one-pager that we could provide as an attachment from updates from staff periodically to the board, just so you can just monitor what's going on. I think that's definitely easy for us to do. The data's there, another data-diverse decision-making, and we have a lot of information coming from the ChargePoint site that we could pull pretty easily.
I think, thank you for that. All of that is good. I think what I'm asking is a little bit more direct. It's, so we adopt a policy, but before you can be reporting to the board, what's next? The pilot is going to expire in August. So what are you asking us to do? Are you asking us to extend the pilot term, or are you asking for implementation? And that's why I think you got to be really clear with the board what you're asking for. What's next? After it expires this month, what you want us to do? You want us to keep going?
Well, I would say, yes, that's the recommendation right now, is because there's no board meeting until September 17th, after the initial pilot term, is I would ask that the committee just to authorize us extending the pilot until we don't have to do that?
Oh, no, I don't think we can.
Oh, we don't have the authority to do that, because we have no board meeting, but we're not going to turn off the chargers necessarily either.
I know, but we can say, you can say that in the board meeting, right? That's, the technical expiration of the pilot term was August 31, right?
Correct.
And we're coming to the board now to either extend, and I would say probably would have to be like 90 days or something like that, and I'll ask general counsel, or you're asking the board to look at the data from the pilot period and authorize moving forward with the program. Which is what I'm presuming you want.
That is what our recommendation would be. We would
Okay.
plan to do this at our next board meeting, the next regular scheduled board meeting, to provide this data to the board and ask the board to essentially authorize implementation of the program.
That's what I think it's not clear to me in the staff report, is to make that ask. And then to make it in your presentation, the last slide before you say questions, is what's your recommendation? So your recommendation to us is that we move forward to program implementation based on the data we received. This is a needed service, because it looks like it to me, that this is a needed service in this area of in this part of our service area. And so staff recommends moving forward to program implementation. I would just say it plain and simple like this in there, and then also in your presentation.
Would you prefer to have an extension of the pilot, or do you believe that this is a sufficient basis? Because this was a test for the policy, right? To make, because we didn't really know what to expect behaviorally from the public in the parking lot. So do you believe that we have a sufficient basis to move forward with the policy?
I personally do. I'm a data person, but I'm also a person who believes that a pilot is a pilot. And unless it gives me negative information, that it shows sufficient use, and it does show a good use of district resources to meet this need. This is something that the public has told us, even before we started, that they need and they want. And I believe that this will also allow the district to advertise it more, to let people know, and this is a positive asset for the district. So I personally would like to see us move to program implementation rather than continue the pilot. I think you're just going to be collecting more data like you have now. Director King Meredith, your...
You know, people,
Thank you.
the public is used to seeing, you know, it's now being out there, and people are now knowing that it's there. And to put something concrete in place now, when you do a pilot run, you know, it kind of tell you where you're going at this point. And now, since you had, 6 months, something like 6 months to do it, you can kind of get a feel. And people are now saying, okay, we have a charge station that is added where we can go fuel, you know, at this time. So I think, I agree with our Chair Sutter that let's run it, you know, take it out of the pilot move, and take it into being concrete now, so we can get that data and get that information out. Because it's needed, you know, it's cutting down the emission, you know, the green, you know, we're going green. And so we should move forward.
And there's certainly benefits to it.
Yeah.
We see all the time, people charging before work. We definitely don't want to turn that on and have them show up and
And it's
expect
not
to be charging and
happening.
it's not there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they got a little taste right now, so let's keep, adding into their appetite, okay?
I also know that, oh, go ahead.
Oh, just if I can may add, I do recall some of the discussion initially was, like if it's being overused or there's kind of nuisance. We haven't seen any of that.
Exactly.
There is actually quite a bit of charging during the weekends. So as we looked at like the days of the week, it is heavily used on Saturday, Sunday, but we haven't seen any, there's not like trash sitting out there. There's not it's just one car. They're there for their couple hours and they're out. And so it hasn't caused any kind of issue. I would say that we were kind of
Yeah, we
worried
don't
about
have
that might
people
have
coming
happened.
in and pestering to use the bathroom all the time, nothing.
good.
I mean, no changes in trash levels or crime or vandalism to the machines. And one thing I didn't include data-wise is that we only had like an hour in that 6-month period of downtime for the machines. And that includes the software, cloud availability, and the energy. So the system's been up and working.
I would say that. I would say that on the record and when you're talking about, the sessions per month, the average session length, when you talk about the average session, that's a mouthful. Length, the fact that I think this is a good place for more data is that it appears the weekend gives us the heaviest use, and there's been no overuse. There's been no uptick in trash or facilities request or what did you just say? Vandalism, right?
Right.
I think that's a good. There's a good positive to add into it, and I also think that once we made this actually an implementation, it does give us more leverage with PG&E, right? That we intend to move forward with this for real, not just pilot. So it could, I won't say it will, but PG&E is PG&E. But it could give us more leverage with negotiating with PG&E. This is my thought. Yes, you had a question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just quickly, and I probably missed it. What is the time? I know at some charges, it takes longer to charge, to charge. Is ours a little bit more efficient for the
Yes.
charging? And that's another good thing, because I know when my daughter goes, like, she said, oh, that one's too slow.
Yes.
I need to get where I'm going, so I need to get a little boost. And so that's one of the caveats that we have with this. Is it quicker? I mean, the charge, is it more efficient?
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
have to
so
sit there forever,
There's 3 levels of charging provided to cars. The first is called trickle charging, level 1, which is plugging it into a regular outlet that the car can charge. I mean, my car has a small battery. It's a cheaper vehicle. It can take 8 to 10 hours to charge from a trickle charger. Then there's level 2, which is what we're providing out there. But there's variability in level 2. So we have a higher level of level 2. And it's definitely, it's not, level 3 is the DC to DC. So when you see Teslas, they're charging DC to DC, and it's super fast. But we are just about as fast as you can get at level 2. And it's fairly consistent with the power draw. Because that's, grid availability is an issue during time of use, days that are more heavy, evening when it's warm, sort of energy use time. So there may be a little bit of pullback in the ability to draw power from the machine during those periods, but otherwise it's very, very quick.
Okay. And one other, and then we're gonna, okay. And for that DC, for that direct current, is it more, does it cost more?
Yes.
Or is it,
Yeah, because it pulls power off the grid, puts it in a battery at the charger, and then directly charges it DC into the car. So there's more equipment required there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know this one because my son, I sent him here. Yeah, he was looking for, he said, he usually goes somewhere like Berkeley or somewhere like that. And I was like, no, go to the district and try and tell me what you think. And my other 2 children are switching over to electric vehicles. So I think it's good. I think it's a needed thing from from what my son tells me, sometimes it's hard to find a charging station or one that's in good repair,
Yes.
right? Because they have the charging station, but it's like, let me use a scientific word, raggedy. Yeah, that's my word. I think, and you know what? I can tell you that nobody wants to stay at the charging station for 4 hours.
Right.
Unless you're falling asleep. You don't want to stay there. So these 2 hours is about what I expected, and it looks like across all of the pilot period, it looks like, can you go to that slide? The average station length by month?
Just one moment, we have to switch presentations.
No problem. Yeah, or page 16 for us, but I don't know. Yeah, page 7, you're right. The average session, yeah. No, go up. Keep going. It's the average session per month. It's that one, right there, yeah. If you look at this, I don't know what happened in April.
Yeah, it's a aberration.
It's an anomaly, but if you look across all 6 months, it looks like an hour and a half is about the average from what I see. A little over, about an hour and 35 minutes, right? Is about the average across the pilot period, which
That's a quick charge that'll probably get most people home.
it'll get them, yeah, it'll get them pretty full. And anybody with children knows that an hour and a half in the car by yourself without your children, oh, it's like vacation. Now, if the children are there, that's a whole different story. So I'm good with this. You want to move it to the full board, please? Recommend that the policy be forwarded to the full board
Okay,
for adoption.
okay. For this item, it is recommended by the Finance Administration Committee that this be taken to the full board
Okay,
for its policy.
for adoption,
Okay,
for adoption.
wait a minute,
Yeah, there you go.
okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, start over.
Okay, so this is recommended from the Finance and Administration Committee of the Electric Vehicle Charging Pilot Program to be moved to the full board for its policy to move forward
Yeah, to be adopted.
and to be adopted.
Yeah. Thank you. I concur with this caveat, again, with the revisions requested, and add the tie to the strategic plan,
Yes.
to the policy, as well as speak to it during the staff report. And that the other revision is that we have an actual ask to move forward to program implementation, the data support seat. Is that clear? You have that? Okay. I would say add that to the presentation and the staff report. With that, I concur. We can move this along. Do we have an estimated time when this will be? Is it October?
It'll probably be October because we have a very heavy September 17th meeting, so
fine.
we're planning for October 1st.
October works for us, works for me anyway.
Yeah.
October meeting,
October, okay,
okay.
board meeting.
All right, sir, next item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, item 4 on the agenda is to review and discuss the draft artificial intelligence policy and recommend that the policy be forwarded to the full board of directors for adoption if the committee deems it appropriate. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 4, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, so let me turn over to our AI policy. I know there's interest of the committee. We started actually several months ago with a small committee of staff to kind of look at AI, because this is, as you attended conferences recently, there always seems to be sessions on AI,
yes.
and it's continually evolving. it's moving the changes are happening very quickly. If we think of ChatGTP came out, 3 years ago? Not quite, 2022? And everything that's happened since then, many of our software programs are embedding components of AI into their software. And then there's AI-specific things. So yeah, it is important that we have some parameters around AI because and so, our group of, our committee of staff members we have an IT committee, so it's kind of a subcommittee of our information technology committee, help lead that. We had Lakima Sams help kind of lead this initial effort. We did take this as a framework, just to let you know, there's a larger effort just on the local government sphere called GovAI. So it's a coalition. Really, City of San Jose started it a couple years ago. It's blossomed into a very large nationwide group, and they have several different subcommittees. They're kind of in their 2.0 version right now. And so one of the things that they provide a lot of AI-related resources to local governments. And so this is kind of a starting point. We did review the GovAI, kind of their draft policy as a starting point, so we knew where to start. So just a high level of kind of how this policy is broken out to is talking just kind of about the purpose, that we want to have kind of guidance about what's appropriate usage. We want to make sure that, we have some kind of criteria and about why we use it or when we're going to be using AI systems. We want to kind of establish if we decide that it's no longer useful, that there's a way to sunset the use of different AI systems. We put several definitions in here, who this applies to, and is kind of what some of the guiding principles we're thinking through is that it's, so it's human-centered, as in we're looking at the impact of AI usage on the public. I mean, there's also the staff work that it can impact. We also are concerned and we want to address security and safety. So that's related to what information is, how AI is using the information, how secure is it. There are abilities for us to use our internal documents and it won't get published anywhere on the external web, which is the difference between like ChatGTP with the public-facing sites. Whatever you put in, it kind of becomes part of the public domain. And so there's quite a bit of information that we want to keep in-house, but we may want to use an AI system. And there are systems that can do that. That's the enterprise level. We want to make sure that we're addressing privacy concerns, that we're not including personally identifiable information, sensitive data in some of the access, and it's not unauthorized access. We want to be transparent when we do use AI in different aspects, and we want to make sure that it's that there's equity into it, there's accountability towards the oversight, that the systems that we use are effective, and that we empower staff to use it where they feel like to help them do their work more efficiently and effectively, that they have that ability. And we're not hindering that, because kind of anecdotally what ends up happening is we know people, even if it was not approved, this is what we've heard from several different local government agencies, staff are using it anyway. So we'd rather put some guidelines and parameters in there, because we know we want them, if they're going to be using it, and that how they should use it within the work environment. So we spell out just kind of who are the responsible parties for enforcing the policy under the roles and responsibility, and then just kind of what the uses are, what prohibited uses there are, such as kind of the using biometric identification, kind of a computer vision techniques for emotions, so kind of like emotion analysis. We don't want anything to be fully automated, so we do recognize that AI can really help analyze data, but we still need humans to make the ultimate decisions. So we don't want it just to, especially if we're thinking about like our wastewater treatment plant, systems. There's the ability to use AI to help make decisions on operational impacts, but we want the humans to be able to verify the information. And we want to, we don't want to use it to really track individuals or just on the behaviors or personal characteristics. And we want to also make sure that we fact check things because, we've heard quite a few stories about, the AI hallucinations that sometimes it makes up information. And so we need to verify any AI-produced information. We all talked about just sunset procedures as well as public records, kind of policy enforcement, and then we just have several kind of just terms and definitions. So this is, in recognizing that AI is changing, this will be a work in progress. To let you know, we have some of our software systems, we already have it, like Zoom that we're using, it's kind of embedded in Zoom, and we can transcribe and get meeting notes, from our board meetings. We have a handful of users testing the Microsoft Copilot feature, which is we could use our internal documents to help generate, whether generate an email or figure out which emails to respond to. So we've been kind of doing some dabbling and testing it out, and recognize that we may want to come back periodically because things are going to change and how we figure out we're using it, and so we can come back to the board and report back on how it's going. So with that, I was happy to kind of answer any questions or have a discussion about kind of where our draft is and where we're at.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. I've been waiting for this one. This one, I've been waiting to not just, we talk about AI a lot, but to have something concrete in place that sets parameters for use. Director King Meredith, we'll start with you, madam.
Yes, thank you, Chair Sutter. Yes, this is something that you had mentioned a while back, especially going to the different conferences and seeing the development and how other industries are using AI and getting familiar with the system. I know this is one that a chair had been talking about for quite a few months, of seeing how we could develop and how we can use more of the AI system. Thank you for the different definitions and what will be aligned with our work here with wastewater. I think that for looking at what the uses is and to move forward into our different policies and how it can help our different systems at this point. And again, to be able to track the data, as you mentioned, our deputy general manager, that, we do need the human eye to really track some of the data, because they do, sometimes it does go off on a whim and be very creative. So we do need that to continue in place with this. So with that, I'd like to hear more, and I would like to hear what our chair has to say about this. But for this, yes, it is a needed system for us to continue with the growth, what we're doing here at wastewater. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Couple of things that might not be in order, so I'll tell you that first of all. But under 3, the guiding principles for responsible AI, if you move down, it's page 2 of this document. It's under guiding principles. Keep going. Right there. So section 4 of this section about transparency. When I was reading it, one of the first things that I was noting that it says that we're aware, but how does that look in practice? And for me, it needs to say on the bottom that this report, whatever, this data was provided, this report was generated using artificial intelligence, or components of this report were generated. And that's what I think I want to be very explicit, that it's not enough to stand in front and say, oh, I use AI to help me do this, because if it's being published, the board, the public, staff, anybody needs to know, and I think we use the word, did we use the word stakeholders? Or anybody who's looking at the policy, the report, or whatever, needs to know that it was generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence. And I think that goes into the accountability factor, as well as, can I trust this data type of factor for me? Because if it's something where, we got that old-fashioned abacus, getting your data, versus asking a question, because I've used generative AI and ChatGPT, and I've used all of them, and I'm telling you, sometimes it gives you this is not what I asked for, like that, right? And so, yeah, you have to read it, you have to check, but you also have to recognize or tell people that all of this is not my own work, because it's almost plagiarism to me if we don't do that. Does that make sense? I just want something that explicitly says it.
And that would be really kind of in our, kind of the procedures of how we roll this out to staff. And I think it is mentioned here that, it's, if this was used or document generated, I mean, there's images that can be generated now with AI.
Yes.
Very easily, videos, and people's voices can be cloned. I mean, it's actually can be scary what somebody can do with AI right now. And it's also could be very helpful.
It could be very
So
helpful.
but I think it is important that it's, agree that we need to, whether kind of footnoted or just in any document that is created as part of this policy, is that AI was used to assisted in generating this document or this information.
Yes. This is why I want it explicitly said here. Now, how you do it, I think goes into your training. But I think it needs to be explicitly said under transparency and maybe even under accountability, that because it just says that it's user understandable and documented, but or proactively communicated and disclosed to the public. How? Even if it's said in accordance with, a written policy XYZ, I don't know, but when I read it, I didn't get the feeling that every document or every report has to have a written statement that says this is, it does say it's gonna be communicated and disclosed to the public, but when? During a presentation? Or is it going to say it on the actual document? And I'm more concerned that it's written on the actual document somewhere, footnote, somewhere, that this was generated or aided by generative AI or artificial intelligence or ChatGPT, whatever it was. But this was, I just think it needs to have that actual verbiage in here somehow under transparency. Not just that it's going to be communicated and disclosed, but to me, I think it needs to be written, and if it's in your presentation, but not in the actual policy or anything else, then yes, you can say it, but it also needs to be on the presentation. Because if someone is looking at the presentation apart from the meeting, then they're gonna miss that part. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll entertain Sarah's question on here.
Absolutely. Go
Come
ahead.
on, come on up. We can in there.
I just wanted to add a wrinkle to this. So we do, some staff may use generative AI for report writing and staff reports, but there's also the grammar and spelling aspect of AI. So we do have staff that have learning disabilities who use AI to help them write papers to make them, their communications more effective. Is that something that you want stated in every report, every presentation, that AI was used to polish a presentation, or are we drawing the line at generative AI was used to compose the document?
I think that I would say to you that if it's the composition of the report, and I'm gonna let you guys use your discretion on this because I know we were saying in here that the general manager, the deputy general manager is in charge of implementing the program. But if you're using AI to compose, right? Then yes, you need to state it. If you're using it, the way that you just described, I think of that same thing as using Word and using the spell checker or using the grammar checker, right? Same thing. Because sometimes it gives you information, it's like, no, I'm not changing this word, this is the word, this is how it's supposed to be spelled, this is what I want to say.
Yeah,
I don't
this is
want to
what I
say,
wanted. Yeah.
right, I don't want to say, there's one that gets me every time, and I've gone through this with general counsel on a different occasion. It says that we will enter into a contract. But when you look at your grammar checker, it says enter a contract, not enter into, right? Every single time it marks it as an error. But our legal has told us they wanted to say enter into. So that's the difference. So are you using it to make sure your grammar and your spelling is correct either after the fact or as you're doing, or are you using it to compose the letter? If you're using it to compose the letter, you're obligated to tell people, I didn't write this. I didn't write this report, I didn't write this letter. But if you're using it and then you're taking elements out of it, right, to say, oh, that is a better way to say it, there's a different thing. And I just want to say on the record for anybody who might listen to this, staff, community, anyone, I will tell you that I know when it's AI generated versus somebody writing it. And there is a software that lets you plug it in and it shines like a glow-in-the-dark stick from a 3-year-old on Halloween because it tags. There's taggers in the AI. And so if you throw it in the software, this is how we know with like resumes and things like that. And this is how teachers are finding out, right? That it's AI. So I'm just warning people. You throw it in the software and then you turn on and it shows that filter. It literally says AI generated, and it shines like bright green. And it has those tags throughout the document. So if anybody's using them like that, right, and not disclosing it, people will find out. So I would just prefer that if you're only using it, again, for grammar and to assist because you're not a strong writer, versus composing it for you. Because if it's composing it for you, even if, and I'm a disabilities advocate, but if it's composing it for you, sometimes it's meant for that, and that's okay, but just say it, right?
Thank you.
I think that transparency for me is in accountability, those two together. It's just really important that we don't lead people to believe something that is not true. And it's okay, because if there's an error, you protected yourself, right? If you say, oh, well, I used AI to do this, and then somebody says, well, that is not right. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense to you?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that we were.
I'm
on
glad.
the
That was a
same page. Yeah.
great question.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may, just one other, just thinking about this, a lot of it ends up being kind of procedural. I think that's, that we could, between the general manager and myself, that,
Yes.
you know, as we're implementing once the board adopts this policy, these are things that we could be, kind of clarify on the kind of procedural with staff. You know,
Absolutely.
so we definitely hear your comments.
I'm totally okay with it being part of the procedures and the training. The only thing I'm asking right now is that number 4 says something about written. That it must be written. Because right now it doesn't tell me how you're communicating or disclosing to the public. And I want it to be very clear that it's going to be written in some way on the document, the report, the presentation or something. Good?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah.
General Counsel, this is good? Okay, all right. Then, what else? Director King Meredith, did you have anything else on that one before I Move it. Pardon me?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then if you could, just what we just said about the authority, just making sure that that's crystal clear. That, I mean, I know, because I like this one about the general counsel is responsible for advising on the legal risks and issues. And I would like to have a similar sentence regarding the general manager and deputy general manager is responsible for, just really clear. I know we got a lot of these things in here. They're responsible for overseeing enterprise structure, blah, 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 but and monitoring policy compliance. But when I read that, it doesn't say that you are responsible for making sure that the training and the administration or the administrative use of AI, they come to you. Just a simple sentence, just like this one from just use the one that says general counsel is responsible for as your guide. I just want a simple sentence that says that, right? So ultimately, responsibility is gonna fall on you. And then where does the board come in on this? I think it should be one sentence, just like that. What's the board's role and responsibility? Because right now, it doesn't say anything. Right?
Other than implicitly that the board adopts the policy.
But the
But
board
it
is
is not
responsible too, right? The board is responsible for not just adopting the policy, but addressing, the concerns or anything like that, once they rise above the general manager and deputy general manager, and if the general counsel brings it to our attention, that we have a problem. But I think the biggest thing I wanted with the board is to know that this is also your responsibility to adhere to this policy. Because generally speaking, it's not addressed in board policies. Are we going to sync those up? Maybe that's the general counsel question. Do you understand my question?
I do. I think it's a substantive question really as to whether or not the board wants this to apply to them as well. Because as drafted, it doesn't cover
Exactly.
directors. So I would say it's really a kind of meaty substantive question for the board to consider.
Right, and this is what I think I bring up at the meeting, because I do think that this, for me, when I read it, I thought exactly that. This is for the employees, but what about the board? Using AI for any reports or for whatever, right? I do think that that's important.
Yeah, and so I guess that's the kind of, as a board discussion, whether it's kind of incorporated in the board policies and
Yes,
procedures.
yes.
Once this is adopted, if that's the board direction. that's
I
something
can
we
bring it
add
up
on to.
with
Yeah.
my report from the committee, but I also think it won't look like this. It'll look similar to this, right? But it'll be adopted for board use. But there's my recommendation, is that we have something similar, a version of this included in board policies. Okay, we have monitoring and oversight. I guess that's what I was thinking from the board. We'll monitor and oversee, monitoring and oversight. How's it working? How's it going? And that's where you can add the part about when you report. Does that make sense? How often you report to us. So the monitoring, that's where that sentence can come in, the board of directors is responsible for.
Yeah, because we have one section that just says it will, review annually, but we can specify with, board responsibility.
I think so. I think we're just monitoring, we're gonna monitor it based on the reports that you give us, and we have ultimate oversight over it. And so I think, annual, when you give my recommendation anyway, in that section where you say about annual, how often you report, it should just be in your annual and your mid-year. Tell us how it's going. I don't think any more often than that, but Director King Meredith, what do you think?
And this would be for the annual?
Well, I think twice a year is fine.
Just to
It's
see
a
for
new
the month.
policy, so whenever we have a new policy, I always want to know how it's going.
So every 6 months?
Well, yes, but every 6 months, but it's the annual and the mid-year
mid-
report that they
semi.
give us. right? They give us those two. So I don't want to say 6 months, I want to say exactly when.
When?
So
Okay.
during their mid-year report and during their annual report.
Okay.
They give us, you include this section as an update.
As an update.
Does
So
that
we see-
work for you? Does that make sense to you?
And how often would it be used?
No, I mean, that's for the
up for-
board.
yeah.
That's how we will monitor it.
okay.
You will give us a
Is they will
report.
give you
Yes.
a report.
Yeah, it could be a quick report that says, we've been using it, and it's going well, or we've been using it, and we found these issues. The employees,
There's no
like this.
hiccups?
Yeah, it's something that we could add into kind of the reports, items from staff.
That's
that
it.
Just goes to the board. It's
That's it.
if there's questions, it could be answered, but otherwise it's just part of a.
Right, just a
That's
Part
it.
of a board
update.
agenda
That's it.
packet, yeah.
Okay.
We could do that.
And I know I sound like a record that has a scratch in it, and it's just been like, whoo, whoo, whoo. But I want to tie this back to the strategic plan.
It is a specific item in the strategic
I
plan.
know,
to-
I know, but I want it written on here, that somewhere in the staff report, but also here in the purpose, right? That this ties back to the strategic plan and where, right? Because honestly, I like to just be, going back to transparency and accountability, right? Not look like we're just making up policies. We said we were going to address this, and it's important that we address it. So let's just say, plus, on a different note, this also gives us something to look at that's concrete and data driven. We said we were going to do this, we are doing this, it's been done, how's it going? For the general manager and for the deputy general managers, that's the measurable. The measurable is, you have this in your strategic plan. Did you do it? Yes, we did, because we adopted an artificial intelligence policy, like that. So this is why I always want to tie it to the strategic plan, if that makes sense. Okay, and I think, I just got to look at my notes real quick. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. And by the way, I saw these at a meeting. And general counsel, this might be for you. Did we have training in here? Training and support?
Not specifically within the policy.
No, I think it needs to be in the policy.
Yeah, that we're, with a AI system that we would be providing.
Training and support. Training resources and support. I think that needs to be in here, and it needs to be explicit so that if you say it, people who don't know how to use it feel more comfortable asking for it. Because hardly anybody's gonna tell you they don't know how to use it when the majority of people don't know how to use it, right? So I just say, put in here somewhere, training and support that's, and you can word it, that we will allocate training resources and support for the employees' use of these tools, of AI tools. Because it's a tool, it's not meant to be, like you said earlier, taking the place of a human, but it is a tool, and I do think we need that. Okay. You wanted to say something, sir?
No, it's just, just that as we've been testing out, the Microsoft Office Copilot, as part of our IT provider, as we said, hey, before we turn this on, let's make sure that same issue of training. And so, we have access to, they call it CLIPS training. So it's just brief. You could take several 3-minute videos and it adds up to half an hour, but you can learn all about Copilot or any other feature of Microsoft. But it's just another feature that we want to make sure is available.
Yes.
And that's part of our testing period, that the training component is also works well for staff. So that is something that we've been just on the staff side before we're trying to figure out how we would roll this out to the greater organization.
I think that's good. And even though you don't have to give us all the specifics, just saying a one-line item about training and support would be, I think that would help. It was something about the human design. Because I wanted to say something about that we are requiring the employees to verify the accuracy of the information in anything that's generated by AI before they use it or they share it. And I think I wanted to be explicit about that. So they have to, yeah, the veracity of the information, it just has to be verified. Don't just use it and then come out later and we figure out you said 800,000 when in reality it's 1,200,000 or it's 400,000 because you just took whatever you generated by AI. And I think I was trying to see, there was a section on here about human use. And I think that's where I wanted it to be. I think, yeah, human-centered design. I don't know if it goes there. I'm not sure. Maybe you can tell me where it
Yeah,
goes.
I think some of the, I'm just have to find the exact spot. I know what you just
Yeah, you
talked
can.
about verification. I think
Yes,
there is a section
verification.
in here. I just need to kind of review kind of where.
I just
where
wanted
we
to
have
be
that on there.
explicit that they have to verify the accuracy of the information before they use or share it, right? And I can't find it now. I saw it in here.
Yeah, that's what I was recalling. I was like,
It
you
just
know,
wasn't explicit like I wanted it, but I saw it in here. It's
That also might be another good option for procedures to say specifically, if you've used an AI platform in X way, this is how you would, and what kind of double checking and verification you need to do before it is disseminated to whatever level of, probably publicly, right?
okay.
That might be another good option there,
Yeah, I'm
to
good
just
with
add
that.
more detail.
I'm good with it. If you look on number 4, on page 4, if you scroll down to page 4, I think I found it. It's under prohibited uses. Is the last bullet item.
yeah, it does. That's where it was. Yeah, and that we need to.
I think I just wanted to add on the end, before using or sharing. Because if you verify it after the fact, then that doesn't do us any good. It's before using or sharing. That was my basic concern, is that they have to verify it before they use or share it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prohibited uses. Director King Meredith, you good with it?
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm just writing it out.
uses, bullet 6. Add. Using or sharing. Okay, and then, what else did I have? Oh, I know, prohibited uses. The other one is, General Counsel, you can help me out with this one, that they cannot enter confidential information or trade secrets or into the tool unless it's like, well, I don't even know if I want approval of supervisor. I think I just want to restrict them from putting confidential information or any type of WCW proprietary information or anything in the system, period.
Yeah, I think we could probably add that up on page 2. We have the privacy section there that talks
Yes.
about PII, so we could add to that, maybe expand it a little bit more, or, somewhere between items 2 and 3.
Yes. I'm going to leave it to you guys to figure out where to put it, just as long as he says that they can't put that confidential, not only PII, but yes, thank you very much. No, because it says sensitive data, but I want it to be explicit, no confidential or WCW proprietary information unless,
Right, because and then that goes into the piece of, is it ever going to be publicly accessible, or is it going to be staying within our systems?
that's right.
And so those are kind of on a procedural issue as well, but I think it is important that we address that component.
Yes, and we will
We don't
leave
want to
it.
use it for HR-related purposes.
No,
Exactly,
and
no.
then all of a sudden you have all this
Right.
confidential information in there, and I
Right.
think that we'll leave that to general manager and deputy general manager assigned to this to oversee. But I work in an environment, full disclosure, I work in an environment where people are like, well, I didn't see it in the policy. So if they don't see it detailed in the policy, it's like, it must be okay. So some things I think have to be explicit.
Yeah.
They know you may not do your employees' review with AI. And then, is there something in here, General Counsel, about two things? The district, to explicit, like we have this when you are employed, they say that that the district or the company has the right to monitor your emails, your cell phones, and all of that. I didn't see it, but explicitly stating probably upfront that the district retains that right to monitor all employee use of AI tools.
I think I might suggest that could be looked at, because that I think is addressed in the employee handbook.
Yeah.
And for the sake of kind of keeping like topics in the same place and making sure that folks have
Yeah.
that might be, maybe we could take a look at that and see if that's worth expanding.
Yeah, I think.
Because I don't think it says AI.
We do have
specifically.
a section in the employee handbook specifically about that topic. I think it'd be better for us to expand the employee handbook.
No,
to
I'm fine with that.
address-
Yeah, I'm
address
fine with
AI.
that, but I want to make sure it does say AI tools, right? Because I don't, maybe I need to read it again, but I don't recall it addressing AI tools.
Not in the employee handbook, no. So
Right,
we
but
could
I would
add
like
that.
to. If we could add that to the employee handbook, I like it, and I'm, Director King Meredith, any objections to that?
I don't have any objections.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it, though, when you present this policy, Deputy General Manager and General Counsel, I think we mentioned this when we're talking to the board about this overall policy, that this will be in the employee handbook. This part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can, I think that if we understand kind of where we can
I mean,
add.
yeah, you word it any
add
way you
that
want
in
to,
there,
but when
yeah.
you present it, you mention that we're making revisions to the employee handbook to address the district's right to do that. And then, along with that is the waiver of, the waivers and enforcement. We have enforcement in here, but what if we wanted to, what's the process if somebody wants to get an exception to the policy? We have the policy violations, we have the enforcement of the policy, but what happens if somebody needs an exception for any one of these? I don't know which one, but anything in here, the prohibited use. I just need it, or Ms. Sarah brought up a good point, someone who needs it because it assists their disability. What is the process for getting that waiver or that exception? Can we just add a line in here? Does it come to general manager and council? Is there a form to fill out? Is it the HR manager? What is the process? And just a line, I don't think we need any like weighty thing. I think that can go in your procedures, but I do think you need to have in there that any waivers, anyone seeking waivers from the policy provisions or even a waiver of the consequences of violating the policy must do X. I don't know how to say it, but does that make sense?
I mean, I think we need to think about it, and we need to build it out a little bit, because the policy being board adopted, the authority to waive the policy rests with the board. The board can obviously delegate that authority, but I think it would be helpful to be sure that there's some clear parameters around what that delegation is, so that we don't have a situation where the board has adopted a policy that then is not enforceable because.
That's my point.
Waived. So I think we need to think about what those parameters would look like, but I think I understand what you're getting at, which is likely that there may be operational situations that arise that warrant a waiver, and it may not be timely or efficient and bring it forward to the board for consideration. Maybe there's somewhere in there where we can delegate authority to the
Delegate
general
authority,
manager.
yeah, and I wanted that to be explicit so that either the board or the public are like, who told him, the general manager or whoever, they could do this? So I think it needs to be exactly your sentence, what she said should be in there, just somewhere that says, that addresses the waivers. Okay? As you can tell, I'm used to people who like to dodge policies. And so my head is always thinking about how do I mitigate that. You have the bias mitigation, the human insight, and I think, for me, I think that's good. Like I said it like I just told you one thing. From policy provisions plus violations of policy. Okay, so with that, I have that we're going to tie this to the strategic plan. We're going to put something in transparency about making sure that disclosure is written. The governance still relies in the general manager, deputy general manager, and council, and then general counsel. And then you're going to add something about the board's responsibility in just a one-liner. We will, let me see, you're going to make sure there's a procedural document for training. We will add that the district retains the right to monitor all employee use of AI tools into the employee handbook. Somewhere in here, though, I think it said something about in accordance with, that they will use it in accordance with the rules or something, right? Doesn't it say that? Uphold the guiding principles, conduct an AI review, the deputy general manager. I think under policy 5, can we reference, it would be used in accordance with the rules and procedures outlined in the, or rules and procedures. Can we reference back to the employee handbook, is my question, instead of saying it here? So, because the employee handbook talks about, because this one says uphold the guiding principles, maybe the first one should be uphold the ethics and procedures outlined in employee handbook. Because we may be missing something, and I don't want to miss anything. And if the employee handbook already says you'll be ethical, you'll be, honest in your dealings and all of
It
that.
addresses a lot of those areas in the employee
I know.
handbook.
I want to refer back to that, though. I just want to refer to uphold, all company policies as outlined in the employee handbook. I don't know what I don't know about what's in that handbook that might affect this policy.
Yeah.
Do you
And we've
understand what
tried
I'm
to
saying?
separate, because we've made a big effort the last couple of years to make sure that the handbook addresses items that are not specifically addressed in a standalone policy either. And then it just references, they reference back and forth. So I think that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I just want the reference back and forth, and I know we made that effort, but we also, I think this AI, to your point earlier, can be helpful, but is also very dangerous. It is very dangerous if you don't use it properly. So telling people that we're going to hold you to the ethical standards that you've agreed to in the employee handbook is important to say that here. And then make number 2, upholding the guiding principles for responsible AI systems. Because I think first, we're gonna hold you accountable to the standards that we put already in your handbook. And then second to that is these guiding principles in case there's a disconnect where you didn't say I couldn't do it. That still rings in my head, so. And then you're gonna add about, like I said, governance, the board's responsibilities for monitoring and oversight. Likely have an annual and mid-year update. I won't even say report, I'll just say update. You're going to add a component about training and support, just a one-liner. The specifics will be in your procedures. Under prohibited use, bullet 6, we're adding before using or sharing when we talk about fact-checking the information. And then under Part 3, guiding principles, somewhere between item 2, security and safety, and items 3, privacy, we will add the notion that they cannot add confidential or proprietary information into the tool. I think there's all of those, and then last is we will discuss it at the board meeting, and I'm glad to bring it up, whether or not this applies to the board also, and if so, how to incorporate these principles into our board policies. I think I have it all, but did I miss something? If I did, I'm sure you have the notes, sir. Or Madam Clerk.
Yes.
That's the notes.
Well, AI
You
would print
Hey,
Have some, yes.
and don't be using AI to print out what I say. The AI don't like
We
the
will
way.
use the transcription from Zoom to.
The transcription, yes, and I can just tell you right now, it does not like the way I speak, because I've seen the transcriptions, and I'm like, this is not what I said. So, with that, Director King Meredith, do you want to make a recommendation? Unless there's any other comments. We took public
No,
comment,
no
right?
other comments. I think it's very.
We took public comment, right? We took
Yes.
public comment, right? Okay, good, because we can wrap this up. Director King Meredith.
This is a recommend, is this to adopt it?
This is to move it to the,
Okay.
Move to the full board.
to the full board.
Okay, so the recommendation for the artificial intelligence policy draft to be brought to the full board
For
with the
adoption.
noted,
For adoption.
that's why I was asking, okay, this is for, let's go back.
It goes to the full board for
For-
consideration and adoption.
For consideration for adoption, with the noted suggestions which was discussed for consideration, is what I had,
Okay.
by the financial and administration committee, okay?
Yes, and yes, I concur with, again, this caveat is not only the policy updates, but the updates to the employee handbook. And so you just mention those. You can mention them, put them in the staff report. I just want it mentioned. And as well as the application to the board. Oh, I have to say this too. I do think that I forgot to say this about the waiver, whether we should seek waivers from policy provisions and violations. That's included in the notes. So I will concur based on that, and that you will bring this forth to the full board with those recommended revisions and/or an explanation of why it should not be, right? And I'm thinking about the waivers when I say why it should not be. And when, so we concurred, days done, but when should we expect this? Again, is this October, November? What are we looking at?
It'll be in that timeframe, the October, November timeframe. We'll
that's
look
fine.
on kind of the future
Fine.
forecast agenda, yeah.
Works for me. Director King Meredith, anything else before we move on?
No, that's it, I'm just making sure I have my notes.
Okay, so we're moving this to the full board. Okay, Madam Clerk, this is what we'll do. Thank you, sir. Back to you.
Okay. All right, item 5 on the agenda is reports on issues or matters pertaining to the work of the committee. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or request to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 5, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comment.
Director King Meredith, anything you have?
Not since the last time we met, no, I don't.
No, I mean, anything you want to, well, reporting on or anything you want to consider for another meeting? Anything else?
Not at this time, I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, because there is something that I wanted to ask you. Yeah, can we, what I'd like is, I know I've been saying it all day about tying things to the strategic plan. Can we just pull out what's related to this committee and just look at where we are before we get to the full board? I'd like to look at that. So in the strategic plan, there's certain elements that are related to the Finance and Administration Committee. And I'd like an update on what does it look like? Where are we? Like these things we discussed today are all gonna be able to check off
Correct.
because we're meeting the strategic plan goals. So if I would like to look at that separate in committee. I mean, I know I can look at it on my own, but I'd like to look at it in committee to figure out, okay, where do we need to go now? What do we need to discuss? Or what should we be discussing in the coming months to make sure we're still moving forward on those strategic goals?
Sure.
Does that make sense? Do you understand my?
Yeah, I think I kind of understand. I'm thinking off the top of my head a
Sure.
couple other objectives. You know, we're talking about the rate plan.
Yes.
That is going to be coming up, but I think you're looking at it more of a kind of over the next year, 2 years.
Yes.
What are items that are going to be coming to the committee that are related to implementation of the strategic plan? So
Yes.
we're still working through. That's kind of our last component of this current strategic plan is developing an implementation plan. So I think we'll be, on the staff side, we're working with our consultant over the next month. We've got a couple meetings set up to kind of work out an implementation plan. So I think once we get done with that, that would be a good time to come back to the committee and pull out these specific items that are related, that are going to be coming to the F&A committee.
Yeah.
Over the next, we could start off with just next 12, 1 to 2 years, or maybe just 1 year, and we'll see kind of where we're at.
Okay, yeah, let me write that down. Okay. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be definitive. It's just I'm trying to get a good picture on what we should be discussing from now until, close of FY '26 and then close of FY '27. So we can have a roadmap to what we should be discussing.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Hold on just a second. All right. And so, yeah, Director King Meredith, you good with that?
Yes.
We need to concur that we want these for the future.
I do concur.
Tell Madam
I
Clerk.
do concur. Okay. Making my notes. Okay.
Okay. And this may be,
You said, isn't it
pardon me?
when we return, October?
October, November, I'm fine. I mean, what does it look like for you to get these done?
Yeah, well, we have actually quite a few items since we're canceling the September meeting, we have quite a few scheduled for October, November timeframe. So it'll be in there. We'll have full committee meetings, which we don't have a problem of taking up our time, because I always have a lot to talk about.
Okay. Reject all. There was another one, I don't know why I'm blanking on this bill number, but there was a bill regarding the required internal posting of not just position or jobs, but of consultant or contractor, I think it's mostly consultant, opportunities and announcing it in the meetings, posting it and letting the unions know that, you remember the bill number, General Counsel? I know,
I remember what bill you're discussing. I
know
don't
what I'm
remember
talking
what
about?
AB it was, like 3 something.
yeah,
But
I was
it's
gonna say
still-
393, but I don't think that's it. Yeah,
It's navigating through the process. I've been monitoring it.
I
but
have
yes.
to. And I want to make sure that somewhere on our radar, we keep that, we keep it on the radar, because it has, I know that CASA, CSDA, ACWA, a lot of the associations are opposed to it, but I also know that the implications of not being able to hire a contractor or a consultant without first advertising it to the unions is going to affect the efficiency of the work. So I just want to make sure we're keeping this one on the radar. 339. That makes sense. I don't know why I keep saying 399, but it is
There you
339.
go, yeah, 339.
AB 339.
AB 339.
Yeah, was that Liz? Was that Liz's bill, Ortega's bill?
Ortega, yes.
Liz Ortega?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. Yeah, I'm really paying attention to that one. And I think that's it for now. I do want to discuss where we need to tie policies to strategic plan. And if there's any updates needed, or when you come to us with new ones, that's the proper place that's the proper time to update it. But I want to just I think we can take a look at that after we look at what's on the strategic plan. Okay? Okay, that was it for me. Anything else, Director King Meredith? I said that was it, like,
I know you said.
like I didn't give you anything to do.
Right, well, I'm just making notes, you know. Write that down.
Anything else for you? Okay. Madam Clerk, back to you. I made you the chair. Just, you know.
The next Finance and Administration Committee meeting is scheduled for October 9th. The September one is canceled for board recess.
Yes, at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. And with that, it is 10:55. We get out of here before 11. The meeting is adjourned. Have a wonderful, wonderful break. Gracias. I can't tell.